Womaninji, and welcome to the traditional lands of the Gunai people. We're here today on the Gippsland Lakes. The Gippsland Lakes are the traditional lands of the Tatangalang people, whose tribal lands extended right across the Gippsland Lake system. So it's a very important place for Gunai people, and obviously the Gippsland Lakes, with its natural resources, sustain the Gunai people, particularly the Tatangalang people, for many thousands of years. So very important culturally, but also as a part of our natural environment as well. So once again, Womaninji, and welcome to the traditional lands of the Tatangalang people on the Gippsland Lakes.
Jones Bay is part of the Gippsland Lake system, which has traditionally been a major food source for the Gunai people. Its resource abundance and diversity encouraged my ancestors to spend a lot of time in this area fishing, hunting, camping and collecting natural resources. We're working on public and private land to improve the fringing wetland and shoreline habitats of Jones Bay for native plants and animals.
Jones Bay wetland is a site of really high significance across the whole lake system in terms of the diversity of birds and in terms of bird habitat, and it provides refuge and it provides shelter in often blustery conditions or places where birds can learn to fly or roost or have access to a wide variety of food sources.
Jones Bay is a wonderful site for both nomadic Australian shorebirds as well as migratory shorebirds. Some of the species we see there regularly are black-winged stilts, banded stilts, red-necked avocets, and it's an important site for both sharp-tailed sandpipers and red-necked stint.
So you'll get, tiny little terns, you'll get great big raptors and eagles, you'll get shorebirds that just kind of hunk around on the edge of the shoreline and look for fish. It's pretty amazing. You'll record 20 or 30 bird species there without trying. Migratory birds returning from the northern hemisphere obviously are physically depleted through the flight. They stop for just one spot along the way in the Yellow Sea for a refuel before returning to the Gippsland Lakes. So maintaining that wetland health here is critical to them putting body mass and energy back into their bodies. The food support system is quite strong for them. They like the molluscs, they like the midgie larvae, and across certain times of the year when they migrate back, those species are obviously all in healthy numbers. Quite simply, no food, no birds. If the wetlands are not healthy, the food source at the bottom side of the chain is not there. Those smaller molluscs, small vertebrates, small fish, etc., frogs, if they're not there, the birds aren't there to feed. They're going to go somewhere else to find food. The Cloud Morass is important because it's one of the last remaining deep freshwater wetlands on the Gippsland Lake system. They all used to be fresh before the opening of the entrance in 1894. It's a relic of the past, of perhaps what the wetlands would have looked like prior to the saline intrusion from the opening of the entrance. Where we are now, the morass is really close to town, so we've got all of the runoff from Bairnsdale that can travel through various areas, including the morass. The Cloud Morass is quite significant for colonial nesting spoonbills, straw-necked and white ibis. It's a breeding home for musk-duck, and we also have a population of Australasian bittern in here, which is on the endangered species list. So it's really kind of cool when you come down here and you see all these birds all together, all in breeding colour, ready to do their thing and have their babies. BirdLife's monitoring of recruitment numbers is getting an idea of how successful is a population. Are they recruiting into the population, or is that population declining, and why? Is there a cause by human? Is there an environmental fact? Is it a combination? It gives us an idea of what species we need to look at more closely in the future for management. In the morass, we're working on invasive species targeting blackberry and willow. Blackberry and willow obviously don't belong, they're an introduced species and they alter the habitat quite significantly in terms of birds, as well as altering the dynamic of the wetland itself. The Mitchell River silt jetties are a site of international geomorphological significance, so they're recognised internationally as being one of the best remaining examples of a digitate delta, which means a finger delta. So they're not growing anymore, the silt jetties. That's why we're trying to protect them so that they can be there preserved for the future. They provide a buffer between Lake King, which is a large body of water that has a lot of wind and wave action. So by having the silt jetties there, they provide a level of protection for Jones Bay, which is much more calm and still, and allows for, you know, the diversity of bird life there to have protection. That's why little terns will go there and learn how to fly, because it's not as wavy and choppy as Lake King. There's been rocking that's happened at the silt jetties for the last 30 or 40 years, and a lot of that is still in place, but the silt jetties have been eroding at such a rate that we either need to repair that rocking or install further rocking in other areas, and that stabilises that landform so that it'll be there for the future.
The Jones Bay area, the McLeod Morass, is one of those last freshwater estuarine areas of the Gippsland Lakes, and that makes it a really significant area.